Alright everybody, sorry I am late. One stream going, other stream going. Here we go, 6:45, only 15 minutes late. Some massive news broke just a couple minutes before I was going to go online. And felt that it was my responsibility to the subscribers to get in there and redo the projections and refigure out the entire Pacers rotation, because Nate McMillan just announced at 6:20 or so that he was going to sit all the Pacers starters. So that's Collison, Oladipo, Bojan Bogdanovic, Thad Young, who we expected to be out anyway, Miles Turner. They're all going to sit. A bunch of salary left over. Yeah, you aren't shitting here. It's. I would think this is almost going to turn into a pick'em in this situation, which is one of a couple of things that want you to not overreact to this news about the guys sitting on the Pacers and by extension the Cavs. Memphis going with scrubs now also. Did they announce that they're actually sitting the starters? Before they indicated that they were just going to indicate before they indicated that they would play both days. JB Bickerstaff wrote that the starters would play both days but play limited minutes on the second day, that they would get up into the 20s on the first day and play limited minutes the second day. There are two players at most on that team I would really want to try. Can you talk about Tobias and Gallo? So I think they sit another veteran today, and I wrote the projections for the site as if Danilo Gallinari doesn't play. That's my best guess. I'm not at all confident in it. I think you have to look at Gallinari, Pat Beverly, and Marcin Gortat, and even Tobias Harris a little bit, with a little bit of skepticism. So who's starting for these teams? I don't think they have actually come out with a starting lineup yet for the Pacers, but I would be very surprised if they didn't start Corey Joseph, Tyreke Evans, who is playing, and you should probably start putting some exposure into your lineups now. Doug McDermott, TJ Leaf, and Domantas Sabonis. I'd be surprised if that was not the five guys they started. Yeah, Tyreke is playing. So I'd be surprised if they didn't start those five guys, and I'd be surprised if the backups to those five guys weren't Kyle O'Quinn, Alizé, Johnson, Elijah Stewart, Aaron Holiday. That 10th guy on the wing is going to be a little bit interesting for me. But, yeah, so I guess we'll just jump into talking about the Pacers. Tyreke, I would probably have a lot of exposure to. Now, there's some chance he doesn't get a massive load of minutes. But with this is not that dissimilar from the situation where Oklahoma City was playing with Dennis Schroeder and no Russell Westbrook and no Paul George, in that big usage guard guy can make his own shot. When you're out there with a pile of kids who have no goddamn idea what they're doing, frequently will make his own shot. So, you know, I think this is much like Schroeder, a situation where you can hopefully expect about a fantasy point and a half a minute out of Tyreke. Now, things can go wrong here. He can play limited minutes. It's his first game action coming off an injury. Maybe he doesn't start. If he doesn't start, I'd probably get him out of there. If they're going to give him minutes in the 20 plus and we find out that news before lock, then I'm pretty excited about Tyreke. If he doesn't start, then that probably means they're just going to give him a taste and he might only play 12-15 minutes. Then I'm probably yank back the string. So you got to keep an eye on how that goes. He could just be rusty, having not played in a while. But, you know, in a vacuum at what I think is still fairly low ownership, this will be another good test to see how close people are paying attention. About an hour before lock, this is a massive news change. You like my chair? I have a nice new like racing chair, gaming chair over there, but I haven't assembled it yet. It's been in a box for like 6 months. Somebody bought it for me. But horrors, sneaky or stupid? Horford were you going for? I'm guessing sup with Sabonis. I expect him to start and crush. Would be the easiest way to explain it. Horford, I figured you were going for Horford. Horford is neither sneaky nor stupid. Horford, before this news, would have been bigly owned and should be. And I've projected for like 27 minutes, and I like Horford quite a bit. But what was the massive news you missed? The Pacers are sitting all their starters. The Phoenix coach is terrible. What did you think of only 8 minutes for a Kobo? I wanted nothing to do with any of the point guards on that team anyway, so from a fantasy standpoint, I'm glad they sucked. I expected them to suck. I advised everyone here to have none, and therefore I'm glad they were terrible. From a development standpoint, yeah, if you're going to give the guy the start, give him some time. So I'm going to read notes for a minute on a couple teams. Who benefits the most for Indiana? So we'll talk more about Indiana. That's the best news. So all these guys benefit. All the starters become somewhat attractive. My favorite... I'm trying to think if there's any of the guys I expect to start this game. So Kojo will start at the point, but much appeal I have for him would be... Kojo's fine, but Kojo's not like super upsidey guy, put mildly. I certainly think Kojo is very playable at this point. He had been playing a lot of minutes anyway. There's a chance he gets like 29, 30 minutes tonight. There's some real advantage there, and he's fine in tournaments. But he's probably not in my favorite 4 or 5 guys on this team at this point. I would rather play Reek. I would rather play Sabonis. I might rather play Leaf. I'd certainly rather play Kyle O'Quinn. Especially where there's now basically no salary cap, I have a feeling, on both sites. We're very close to it. I'm a pretty big fan of the other guys a little bit more because they portend a bit more upside. Osman, Decker, Nance, Hood, Sexton starting. Yes, I had that. I knew that, I think, some 2 or 3 hours ago, but I appreciate you kicking in there. That is the case. And there's Edmund Sumner, somebody asked about. Edmund Sumner is a decent upside guy. Another guy who missed a full year a la Harry Giles with a really bad leg injury and has looked pretty good. And they leaned on him a lot in the last game, and I don't think that's crazy. Is O'Quinn even going to play? I would have Kyle O'Quinn in just about... I mean, is he... Let me take a look at the sites real quick, because I'm not absolutely certain he's, what position he is on FanDuel and DraftKings. But he will play. He will probably play 20 minutes. He has a very healthy projection for me right now. He's a real fantasy monster in a matchup I really don't hate. Osman in play. Like Kyle O'Quinn, people are going to be still butthurt off what he did last time. He's going to be first big off the bench. They're going to start Sabonis and Leaf. Leaf is, again, the guy I would avoid. Those of you who were on the show the other night know I did an entire show which was all about trying to find players who are as bad as fantasy as TJ Leaf is. TJ Leaf, in his 458 regular season minutes in the NBA, averages 0.64 fantasy points a minute. That's not bad. Now, unfortunately, he's fine tonight now. He's going to start. He's going to play like 28 minutes now. I think I'd probably project him for into the 20s, and he's minimum price. But he's going to be pretty popular, and everyone seems to think like, oh my God, he's going to dominate now. He's not a productive basketball player. He had a massive game last time, but if you watch the game, roughly 60% of his points just sort of fell into his lap. Literally, Chris Paul shot it, blocked it into his hands. James Harden threw him the ball once. He had 4 offensive rebounds and putbacks. Just not really a strength of his game, especially for a power forward. He is a phenomenally bad fantasy basketball player. And I say this as someone who's somewhat of a fan and talked about him a lot in Summer League. So, all right. So tip number 1, divest yourself of the Pacers starters. Done that? Good. This gets really interesting here because there aren't like studs to pay up on. So there is a chance people are going to overreact. Like Kyle O'Quinn is a strong play. Sabonis could be an absolute monster here now, and the minutes could be absolutely ridiculous. You can play Leaf. You can play Alize Johnson, who I expect to be the second big end of the court, and who has some sort of offensive upside. That's a deeper GPP play, but you can do that. Sumner is another guy we're talking about here. So the Pacers have an odd preseason schedule, and they ran Sumner heavy the last game, and he fouled out. They have 4 preseason games, and they are in a week. This is only their second of their 4 preseason games, so we know the starters are going to play at least one more. But they occur on days 1, 3, 5, and 7 of a week. This is day 3. There was one the day before yesterday. There's one 2 days from today, and there's one 2 days after that. And that's their entire preseason got condensed into 7 days, which is a little bit peculiar. Corey Joseph is fine. There's nothing wrong with playing Corey Joseph. I used to play him all the time on Toronto. We'd have good matchups with the Nets and various other things. Feel free to run Corey Joseph. He's going to run a giant pile of time. He is not going to get you 50. And there are several other guys on this team who could, and there's basically no cap at this point. So it's going to be site dependent. I have to look and see whether or not, because basically it's just raw points. It's a pick 'em at this point. If you're playing on FanDuel, which 2 point guards are going to score the most points? I don't think salary is going to matter at all anymore. Because now you can't even play Oladipo. I just don't think salary is going to matter. Do I think Lou Will plays tonight? Yes, I think Lou Will plays tonight. I have him projected for 20 minutes. I'd be surprised if they sat him out again at random. I think they do sit either Beverly or Gallinari or Gortat or maybe even Harris, though I think he's the least likely of those four. And you need to approach them all as tournament plays, but maybe be ready to pivot into some of these guys on DraftKings. Tyreek will play, confirmed. Start is, to my knowledge, not confirmed. I'm looking for that news. Big cock tonight. Yeah, I think that's I mean, every night. But, yeah. Marshawn Brooks looked good last night. They're going to play everybody like 19 minutes on that team. And, again, you just said last night. Now, he didn't play much last night. There's about 3 players on the Grizzlies you can play at all, and they are tournament options. And it's Marshawn Brooks, Triple J. You can run out there. You can run Junior out there. But Rozier, Sexton love. I have a lot of love still for Rozier. But again, now everything is just sort of gross fantasy points. Thoughts on Aaron Holiday? He's going to be the backup point guard. He's probably going to play 18 to 20 minutes. I'd project him for about 15 fantasy points. He'd be pretty far down my list. You can play Selden if you want to. Those guys are, I mean, they are tournament pivots off much better plays on Cleveland and Indiana. Cleveland, Indiana, you have, you know, Hood is a better play. Osman is a better play. Sumner is probably just a raw better play, or at least a far, far safer play, etc. So you've got to really want it to run out. I hope Dylan Brooks or Marshawn Brooks or Wayne Selden or whomever on the Grizzlies gets there. Anyone you're expecting to sit that hasn't hit the wire yet? Just waiting to hear on who's going to sit on the Clips. Are you playing LeBron, or are there better spots for Tobias and Tatum? So I would project. I have LeBron and Tobias projected for almost identical points. Tatum is your safest play of those three because he's going to play. He's going to play significant minutes, and his upside is similar to theirs because he might play 31 minutes. They almost certainly won't. You could get 25, 26 out of Tobias, and he could put up 35, 36 in that time. But he could get sat 10%, 15%. You could play LeBron. Jordan Clarkson's is bad. Again, you want to pivot to Jordan Clarkson? Yeah, he probably gets up to, I think I have him at 21 minutes, maybe 16 fantasy points tonight. He's a guy who can make 7 3-pointers. So, like, if you're building 150 lineups, yeah, I have 6 Jordan Clarkson. Or something like that. But you thought Lonzo Ball was resting. To the best of my knowledge, I have Lonzo not playing, but he is questionable at the moment. Staying on the Brooks train, Trey. I hope it doesn't derail like Trier last night. That's very similar. Marshawn Brooks is a very young player who has a great scoring touch and doesn't do a whole hell of a lot else. And, you know, will shoot great some nights and get 25 fantasy points, and will shoot like shit other nights and get 11. Osman thoughts? Should be massive. You know, so I'm going to do the game by game thing and attempt to do it in just a few minutes. It's worth pointing out. So the first 2 games, the first 2 games have over/unders of about 212, give or take a point. The last game, the Battle of LA, is closer to 227, 228, which is significant, but again, insignificant relative to the minutes differential we expect in some of these plays. Yeah, I'm gonna not look for a minute here. This is the last game of the preseason for Boston. Brad Stevens came out with a tweet 10 hours ago saying Kyrie and Gordon Hayward wasn't going to play. The guy from the Herald had it, and like no one else reported it for like 9 hours, and then somebody else saw it, unfortunately. So Brad Stevens says he plans to play the rest of his regulars, quote, at least 3 quarters on Saturday. This puts a lot of these guys into play. And so just, you know, do you want 3 quarters of, because again, there is no salary, basically, or very, very close to it, I have a feeling. I'm going to go to the sites as soon as I can get done with this. So do you want 30 minutes of Chetty Osman or 30 minutes of Jason Tatum? You know, do you want 30 minutes of Edmund Sumner? It's not going to be 30. Do you want 24 minutes of Edmund Sumner, or do you want 27 minutes of Jaylen Brown? Do you want, so just, you know, understand, don't go crazy with cancellation game there. Like, I expect Sabonis to be good. I expect his usage to go up on offense. I expect O'Quinn to be very, very good for his price. But there's a chance O'Quinn only plays 18 minutes still. So do you want 28 minutes of Al Horford or 18 minutes of Kyle O'Quinn? So just, keep in mind there. I got my Brookses confused. I know Marshawn Brooks is the old man around. Thank you. I knew it as soon as I said it. Marc Gasol thoughts? I wouldn't play him if you paid me. And you do, and I don't play him. Sumner looks like Rand's friend. I don't know what that means. Ingram or LeBron James? Someone just said Larry Nance Jr. I like Larry Nance Jr. a lot. Larry Nance Jr. is a good fantasy player. Always has been. He's encroaching on a fantasy point per minute. Has been good against the Celtics. Good against Horford in his career in 6 or 7 games. Has some time against them. Is going to be lower owned than Osman. Maybe lower owned than Sexton. And, he's only backed up by Zizic and the other guy I can't remember. But I think you may get like 28 minutes of Larry Nance Jr. I'm a pretty big fan of Larry Nance Jr. And this news should knock his ownership all to shit. Plus, he's randomly a small forward on FanDuel, I think, which is hilarious. Josh Hart or Jaylen Brown? Right. That's a very good question. I think I barely have Jaylen Brown projected higher, and I don't think there is a salary. How many minutes would it take for Ojeele to be usable? If he was going to play 48 minutes, I'd consider him. He'd be about even with Tatum for me. Like, if you literally told me Tatum will play 26 minutes, Ojeele would play 48, I'd have to sit there and think about it. But it would be 40 plus. With no interest in Semi Ojeele. If he has one of his 3% games where he's halfway decent. Boom, boom, boom. 28 minutes of cock. That's or what my wife likes to call 3 months. Sorry. Checking news, checking things. Horford, Leaf, best 2 power forwards on FanDuel. So I'm going to go to FanDuel first because we're getting all the questions there. So let's look at some guys there. Wow, FanDuel already has the Pacers guys out. That was thrifty, FanDuel. Thrifty, well done. So, point guard on FanDuel. Irving won't play. Conley won't play enough. Ball might not play, and there's no late swap on that site. So you have Terry Rozier, who I'm a pretty big fan of, although, again, you don't need to save the money. You just want the highest scoring guy. So you basically have Rozier, Smart, Beverly would be in play in tournaments, Sexton, Gilgeous-Alexander, Sumner would be in play in tournaments, Corey Joseph, Javon Carter if you want to be a really spicy meatball, Aaron Holiday if you want to be a really spicy meatball, but even in I'd have to be making dozens of lineups for either of those guys got in there. Corey Joseph is the woe, right? Like I think I just avoid Corey Joseph because of what I'm guessing the ownership turns out to be. I'll stick with Rozier here. Yeah, there's a real argument to be made for Rondo, by the way. You are obviously assuming quite a bit of risk, but I think Rondo plays, and again, that game has a pretty massive over/under. I think Rondo gets in there, so I think Rondo actually is a pretty cute play at that position. Shooting guard, Reek and Hart and Brown, I have a feeling, are the 3 guys we're really going to want here. There's some interesting, tournament pivots off those guys, but, if I build 100 lineups, 90 of them would have some combination of Reek, Hart, and Brown. You can tournament pivot to Wayne Selden. You can tournament pivot to David Nawab. No, Nawab is out to, J.R. Smith is probably out too, actually. Rodney Hood is what I was looking for there. You can turn and pivot to Rodney Hood. He has, the upside he could randomly get there, but that's not a superb matchup. Small forward, LeBron might sit. Tobias Harris might sit, but they're probably, a couple of the guys I would project towards the highest. Gallinari, I think, is about twice as likely as Tobias Harris to sit. I'd put him at like 15 and 30% or something. Larry Nance Jr., that price isn't appealing, but there aren't any prices, so I think cash is Ingram, Harris, LeBron, Kuzma, Tatum are all fairly interesting. It's one of the positions we're going to spend up at. Tournament pivots end up being Chetty Osman, Dylan Brooks, I suppose. But, yeah, but on FanDuel, again, it is very interesting with those guys. Power forward, so Horford is probably your cash guy. I'd have to go pretty far without not playing him. Marcus Morris in tournaments. Jaren Jackson Jr. in tournaments. Montrezl Harrell is pretty appealing for me in that game, which should turn into a scrum to a certain extent. But I'll he'd be real close for me with TJ Leaf. And again, TJ Leaf, I think, plays 29 minutes, and Montrezl plays all at 20. So I know that's not how his name is pronounced. Can you play Rozier, Tatum, Brown together? You can. I would try to run it back with, you know, Larry Nance and Chetty Osman or something like that to, you know, capitalize on just fast game, etc. Yeah, and then center. Miles Turner is out. Marc Gasol is going to play. I mean, I'd be pretty heavily invested in Sabonis, tournament pivots to JaVale McGee, Kyle O'Quinn. That's I think about it. But I do like that Rondo tournament play I just mentioned. Let's go ahead and look at DraftKings. Let's see if they've announced Pacers out yet. Yeah, Pacers are out. All right. So let me here prices a little bit more relevant, not a ton. So let's just look at Indiana prices on this team. Indiana, all scroll to bottom. I'm not going to play Anik Bogu. I'm not going to play Johnson. Not going to play. You can play Alizé Johnson. Don't play Amari. Ben Moore will probably play, but not get enough minutes. Elijah Stewart could conceivably be that last backup wing there and could get 20 minutes. You know, the conch could be huge. Doug McDermott, if you were ever going to play Doug McDermott, he's going to start and play 30 minutes. Smart or Rozier. Rozier and Cash. Smart, I think, is the tournament pivot there. I don't really want to play Dougie McBuckets, though. Again, Corey Joseph, I made my thoughts clear. There's no problem with it. TJ Leaf, it's so weird. This site actually raised the prices on some people. Bizarre. I don't know how you do that, but it appears, you know, they apparently look at their salaries and change them based on player performance. Someone should let FanDuel know they can do that. Leaf or Horford? Horford. I have them projected for the same amount of minutes. I will give, like, I think I'd probably give 3-1 odds on Horford over Leaf. Like, do I like Jaren Jackson over TJ Leaf? I would project, I think I have TJ Leaf projected now for something like 28 minutes and 23 fantasy points. Okay? And again, TJ Leaf in his regular season career is a .6418, I think it was, fantasy point per minute producer. So I'm giving him bonus for no other starters. I'm giving him bonus for preseason where everyone produces a little bit more. But Conley thoughts, I'm not playing him. I think he plays 15 minutes. I would not play a Grizzly unless I really had to. And then it would be, you know, Brooks or Selden or Jaren Jackson. And yeah, this is one of those games where you may very possibly have no good players on Memphis. Like, I don't know what I would place the odds on the winning lineup tonight having no Grizzlies in it, but I think it's greater than half. Like, I would give an even money bet no Grizzlies are in the winning lineups tonight. Shai or Sexton? I project Sexton for more, and I think he gets more minutes now, too. I think Shai is going to still be in that 22 to 25 range. I think Colin Sexton's probably 28, 29. Smart, Rozier. Is that like the irregular verb to go in Spanish? I don't know what that means. If it's Smart or Rozier, Rozier is the cashier of those two options. Smart would be the tournament-y pivot there. Yeah, my lineups all have $11,000 left. Best 3 guards for cash regardless of price. Presuming you can make, this is DraftKings, I presume. So Tyreek Evans, be ready to pivot by 8 o'clock. So we will probably know by then. Did you say Sean Gilgeous over Sexton? No, I would prefer Sexton over Shai. It's probably like Rozier, Evans, Ingram. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting any guards on the slate here. So let me go back to the top. But I have a feeling that's what I would load up to start with. Yep, that's what I would load up to start with. O'Quinn over Sabonis, FanDuel, GPP. Yes, I think that's fine. Like, it's the quintessential leverage play. Sabonis is going to be 61% owned. He gets in foul trouble. Kyle O'Quinn comes in and goes off. Gravy. 48 minutes of Ojale or 15 minutes of Boban. I mean, based on their career averages, 48 minutes of Ojale is worth about 17.5 21 fantasy points, and 15 minutes of Boban is worth about 22.5 fantasy points, since I just happened to look up during our game the other day their career points per average. So significantly 15 minutes of Boban in a vacuum, which is pretty damn funny. Top 3 centers. I'm going to go with Wilt Chamberlain, Shaq. That's not what you're asking. I think JaVale McGee is interesting in tournaments, but just overall centers on DK. Horford. Sabonis, Horford. Thing. Sabonis, Horford, somebody. Sabonis, Horford. Like, I like Nance a lot in tournaments. I don't want Lance to dance in tournaments. Cock. Favorite Clipper. Toby Harris. Is there anything on my breakthroughs I didn't read that I wanted to? Again, if I didn't make this clear, Love is going to rest, Hill's going to rest, Korver's going to rest, Tristan's going to rest, Nawab is going to rest, Sexton, Osman, Hood, Decker, and Nance will start. Decker's cute in tournaments. You know, Nance is my favorite there. Career-wise, he is the guy who scores the most fantasy points on this team. I really like the matchup, and now with the whole Cock, Horford, whatever shit going on, I don't think his ownership is significant, so I really like Nance. I don't mind him at small forward on FanDuel. He would be a tournament play I would be happy with. Tobias or Nance, I have to take Tobias in any cashy format. Nance is an interesting pivot, and you get great correlation in the event that Tobias sits, which is a non-zero chance. Do I like Montrezl? I do. I like him quite a bit. That game's going to be fast. It's going to really play to his strengths. I like anyone off the bench against the Lakers, so yes, I'm a pretty big fan of that. Going back to the pay chat, DK price is irrelevant in my opinion. I mentioned all the prices are irrelevant. DK prices matter, somebody is saying. I will go look in a second, but they are close to irrelevant, I would think. Let me rephrase. I think most of your best lineups will be price irrespective on DraftKings. That being said, the existence of prices will change the field a little bit. Whereas on FanDuel, you can ignore the prices and they don't affect the ownerships. The prices on DraftKings will affect ownerships, if that's the easiest way for me to say it. He's really not a fan of Leaf. I actually am a fan of TJ Leaf, but he's young and he's inexperienced, and I've watched him play 220 minutes of basketball, and I watched that last game where he got incredibly lucky, and because that just happens sometimes. And I expect him to be pretty popular. People are going to be like, oh my god, that guy was a monster. Did you see that game? He had 40 fantasy points, and now everyone else is out. He's going to go crazy. So I think he ends up being like 35% owned, and there's no salary cap. I will take. Give me Marcus Morris, who's going to play 23 minutes in a tournament. Give me anyone else in a tournament over TJ Leaf. We'll see. Maybe you'll go apeshit again today, and every ball will bounce to him, but too many scorers in Boston, they take away from the rest. Horford, definitely the best. Rozier, my least favorite. Interesting. I think I'd have Rozier as my third favorite. Just raw points, I'd go Horford, Tatum, Rozier would be the order I'd look at those guys. Fade Tobias in cash. It's not really a fade, but it's fine to let him go in cash. Shai still a good price play for his men. I think he's just tournaments for me. You know, scoring opportunities limited in minutes, much less certain than 17 other guys we're talking about. Who's the power forward play next to Horford on FanDuel? I like Montrezl in tournaments. TJ Leaf is a fine play. Like, I project the guy for north of 20 fantasy points, but again, there is no price anymore. So the one reason I'd be really excited to do it was the fact that he was saving me money. Now, you know, give me Marcus Morris. Give me Ante Zizic, who is randomly at 7-1 and has never played a minute in his career outside of center. A power forward. Give me Alize Johnson. Step off the bus with Alize. That is private correspondence and not helping me. Messages, messages, messages. Is it worth risking Tobias rested on FanDuel or just go Kuz, Ingram, and Tatum? See, it's weird. If everyone knew everything, I think it would be worth it because you'd get Tobias at this really small ownership percentage. So if everyone sort of got that Tobias has a non-zero chance of resting, that he has, again, I think a 10 or 15% chance of resting, then, yeah, I would like playing him because that would drop his ownership from where it's going to be, which is 37%, to where it should be, 14%, at which point the play becomes good. So it's sort of a weird thing there. Doctor Strange is preaching. That's right. Sorcerer Supreme, I am. Chetty Menace gets Osman. I just think he's good. He is good. 28? Any chance LBJ or Rondo sits? I think it's more likely LeBron sits than Rondo. I would put the numbers at, like, there's a chance Ball comes back and Rondo sits. If Ball doesn't come back, Rondo isn't going to sit, or I'd be surprised. So I think there's about a 15% chance or 10% chance that Rondo sits, and maybe a 25% chance LeBron sits. I'd go with about that. Minutes for Nance, a lot, 28. Harris or Tatum? Probably just Tatum for me, because like non-verified reports on the minutes and everything, like I think the ownership is similar, and the production is close enough that I'd probably avoid the risk. 3 or 4 man cash core, it would be Price. You would be mind blown. It was just like, hey, take a seat, rest your O. Rondo will not sit. Yeah, I would be like, he just sat a game. They have 6 preseason games, in fairness, for the Lakers, but you know, dude just sat. I would be really surprised if they either A, played Lonzo. Like, Lonzo is questionable. I think I'd give 3-1 on Lonzo not playing. I'll give you about 25% on Lonzo suiting up. They have 6 preseason games. This is their 3rd. He'll come in whenever he wants, or is this their 4th? Doesn't matter. He's going to come in whenever he wants to. He doesn't need... So if he's still questionable, I would think he doesn't play again. How sure are you that Tyreek gets over 20 minutes? I'm not sure at all. I would say that I think due to their paucity of talent with all those other fucking guys sitting, that I'd say there's about a 70% chance he gets over. I would probably... Am I even responding? I'm responding. Oh, I think someone doesn't realize there's a show on and they're just typing stuff in chat. Can someone let Mr. Rickett there know that there's a show going on? Any thoughts on Jackson Jr.? Fine in tournaments. Any Grizzlies? If I'm making one lineup, I'm not playing a Grizzly. Probably around my 5th lineup, I start with shares of guys in tournaments, and it would probably be Jaren Jackson Jr., followed by Selden, followed by Marshawn, followed by Dillon. But very little. Give me 4 core players for GPP. For GPP, play Larry Nance Jr., play Al Horford, play Domantas Sabonis. There's your bigs. And play Tyreek. There's your core. Build around that. But, again, if you're playing on DraftKings, keep an eye on Tyreek's status as we get towards that game. Lance, make him dance? Not tonight for me. Especially with me expecting Rondo to be back. The percentage of point time I projected for like 15 and 14. Larry Nance could make him dance. I'll go with Larry Nance over the person of whom you are querying there. So again, I like Rondo on FanDuel with the, where he's marked that way. I'm trying to remember what he costs on DK. Gonna keep posting this one question: Rondo, Horford, or Ingram, Nance? I'm totally fine with either of those. Ingram, Nance, and cash out of those, because they absolutely play significant minutes. Rondo, Horford is probably more of a tournament lineup because you're playing Rondo. But Ingram, Nance would be my preference there, and I'd project it higher even if everyone played. So that seems like good reasons to play that. If Tobias and Gallo sit, would Decker or Ty God start? Well, Decker, who was on that team and was on the Rockets, now plays for Cleveland. So that's weird. Tyreek or Hood? Tyreek certainly in everything for me right now. Obviously, if you had 10 lineups and you have 6 Tyreek and you want to play a Rodney Hood, knock yourself out. But Tyreek is just a much better Rodney Hood if we think the minutes are vaguely similar. Somebody give Mr. Rickett a link, if they could, in the chat to either the Periscope or something. Rondo over Sexton. In tournaments for me, Sexton I'd probably go with in cash. Fade LeBron. I'm fine fading LeBron. Like, the scenarios you're avoiding when you fade LeBron, I mean, it's just, there's no salary at this point. So, but it's fine to fade him. Gallo, Tobias, assuming both play. I would prefer Tobias Harris between those two, assuming they both played. Aside from Horford, who is your favorite play for power forward on FanDuel? We've done this question a few times, everybody. For me, it would probably be Montrezl Harrell for tournaments. Since Memphis played yesterday, I am not playing. I'm not going to answer the Memphis question again. What's your take on Lou Williams? I think he plays. I think he plays 20 minutes. I'm not super excited, but without any cap, I think he's fine to pivot into. The ownership will be even lower than Tyreek. Is Rozier top guard this year? No. Do you ever do NFL shows on Sunday mornings? This week is rough. I almost did an NFL show today, a game show type format that I've been working on, and I think we are going to do it next week. Thank you for asking. But next, sometime. Rozier and Tatum, DK, GPP. Rozier or Tatum? I'm trying to think how the ownership is going to shake out. That makes that very interesting. I'll take Rozier. I think you get ownership bonus there. Hart or Lou Will FanDuel GPP? Well, you're going to get bonus ownership, lower ownership. You'll get lower ownership with Lou Will. But I would still be more inclined towards playing Hart. I think he plays 30 minutes. I think Lou Will plays 20. Ingram looking like he might have a breakout year. Yes, he's clearly... I mean, he does better when he gets to play point. That does stuff with him, and playing alongside LeBron makes everybody look better. So, you know, we should back up the role a little bit there. But he's, you know, he's still a baby. He's going to keep improving. Jalen or Hart, probably Jalen and everything for me, but very, very close. Narrative alert, Rozier's dad will be in attendance tonight for the first time ever. Ooh. Rozier and who at point guard? That sounds like a FanDuel question. For me in tournaments, I like Rondo in that second spot. Ingram, Rondo, or Horford, Brown in cash? Horford, Brown. Rondo does have some appreciable chance of... if somebody could translate that, someone posted a video. There's only 8 minutes. I don't know how long that video is, but if someone wants to watch it and summarize, I'd appreciate it. Is Lonzo Ball playing? Unknown. I'll say 60-40 against. That's my gut. That's just based on the fact they've said he's questionable, and they have multiple more preseason games. Any Clippers must? No. There's no players who are a must. The player who's closest to a must for me is probably Domantas Sabonis at this point. And the second is probably Tyreek, hoping the ownership stays down. Both sites have Lou Will out. Yeah, that does help. JR is playing. Interesting. If you have 10 lineups, how many LeBron lines would you have? 5-ish? 5, 6? Like, LeBron is fine to good, but the chance that he rests really limits it. If there wasn't a chance he rests, you most times would want to lock up that 30-something. Love the cock? Yeah, no love tonight, but plenty of cock. No time for love, Dr. Jones. Sexton or Rondo, FanDuel GPP? I'll play Rondo. He's got the mark on him. Believe it or not, I really think it's a thing that when there's multiple guys out, injured game time decision, people just scan past everyone with some sort of colored block next to their name. I know that sounds crazy, but I think that's a real thing. LeBron, Horford, or Tatum in cash? I would play Horford. Looking at like last year's preseason finales and knowing the roster on this team, I think you get more minutes out of Horford by a few. So I'm going to go with Horford out of those three guys, but very, very close. Fuck this guy. I just got McGregor. Will LeBron and LeVar get along all year? No, but LeVar will do as he's told. Nate, Tyreek will be playing, wants second unit to build chemistry. Third group specifically mentioned O'Quinn will... Any more information than... Like you just said, Tyreek is in the second unit, so he won't start. Any other specific information about Tyreek? Third group specifically mentioned O'Quinn will get an opportunity to play. He said O'Quinn is in the third group. Okay, I think what's being said here is the second unit is starting, and Tyreek is going to start along with the other guys in the normal second unit. Right, okay, so they're going to start who I said they were going to start. The second the news came out, I said this, and I'll repeat it. I think they're going to start Corey Joseph, Tyreek Evans, Doug McDermott, TJ Leaf, and Domantas Sabonis. I'm going on record as saying those are the 5 guys that they start. I'd be surprised if I was wrong. I would bet reasonably heavily that I've got that correct. Tyreek will start mentioning... Yeah, so I'm going to play all the Tyreek at this point. This will be a fascinating... I almost want to keep the show going because that's an 8 o'clock game. It is going to be fascinating to see what the ownership is. We are at 5 minutes, everybody. Still deferring to the premium chat. Rondo or Hart? Hart and cash, Rondo in tournaments. Tobias or LeBron? They both have a rest chance. They both profile really similarly to me. I'm going to say Tobias for what I think is a lower ownership. They want to give... It's okay, Rimpack, I got it. Now I understand. Tyreek will start the second unit during the year. He wants to gel. They'll be the first unit tonight. Got it. He wants to give their draft picks a chance to play. Good. That's Aaron Holiday and Alize Johnson. Exciting. Morris or Horford, FanDuel, GPP. Like, I like Horford a good bit more, especially on FanDuel, because he does more steely, blocky things than Marcus Morris. But Marcus Morris is a reasonable tournament pivot off Al Horford. Any position favorite, 3 or 4 in cash. I feel we've done this a few times, but okay, we'll go with Domantas Sabonis. We'll go with Tyreek Evans. We'll go with Al Horford. Yeah, those seem strong. Rondo projected minutes, I think I have him down for 24. Morris or Harrell GPP, I would play Harrell first before I did that. Sexton or Hart, I'd probably play Sexton first at this point. Very close. Sexton in a little better situation, a couple more points per minute. Hart going to play a couple more minutes, though. Ingram or Tobias. Ingram in cash, Tobias in tournaments for me. Sexton or Rozier straight up. I'm going to take Rozier. 3 or 4 favorite guys in cash. We've done that 3 times. Can you just break down the primary and secondary plays from the Clippers and Lakers game? I think you missed it. Sure. Primary plays from the Lakers. I like Rondo a lot in tournaments. I think he starts and plays, and his ownership is mitigated by all the news. I think Hart is a cash play. I think Ingram is a cash play. These guys are... Anyone who I say is a cash play is also playable in tournaments. I think Kuzma is a tournament play. I think LeBron is a cash play. As far as the Clippers go, I think the only guy I would want to play in cash would be Tobias Harris. And there's some risk he sits. Harris is cash. Gallo in tournaments. Montrezl in tournaments. Beverly in tournaments. Yeah. McMillan talking about specifically the Cock playing. Yeah, well, we're going to play with the Cock tonight. And I do like Kyle O'Quinn quite a bit. It's just because the ownership will be somewhat muted, especially with the late time on all this news here. Cliff Notes, you hate Memphis. Rondo GPP play. Love Nance and Harrell. Well, I also love O'Quinn. I love Evans. I don't think we're really short on the Cliff Notes there. I love Tyreek quite a bit. Tatum and Ingram are both fine to play in cash, let alone in GPPs, which was your question. Top overall scorer in the LA game. I'll take Tobias Harris. Barely. I wouldn't have anyone in that game projected for 40, and I will look at my projections when we're done. And actually, I love Bullocks. I love buttocks. I don't know what that says, but it's exciting either way. Tyreek starting. Sí, Tyreek is starting. Sí, señor. Tyreek es starto. Juegador baloncesta. Looking at featured and things here, and not really any overlay anywhere. I don't believe. I love Nutsack. Stuff but fair. It's nice to have fans. Coming down to the last minute. How do I like Sean Gilgeous-Alexander? I think he is worse raw points, but his ownership will be down now, so he's a fine tournament pivot. Rondo or Hart, Hart cash, Rondo GPP. Rondo and Hart negatively correlated. No. Because of Rondo's ability to assist Hart, supreme ability to do that, and them playing on the same team with the potential for overtime. They probably have about even correlation. Projections accurate regarding people playing. Yes, that's why I went on at 6:45, because I said, all right, fuck it. I'm trying to do everything I can for the people paying the bills. Is Joe Young still on the Pacers? No, mighty Joe Young is not still on the team. Tatum, Jalen, or Sexton, Ingram? Sexton, Ingram, and cash. Tatum, Jalen in a tournament, and tried to run it back with some Cavs. Harry Bullocks. Very nice. Rondo or Beverly? I would play Rondo in either format. Beverly probably has a higher risk chance, and I would project Rondo for more. Couldn't listen to show. That is a shame, G-Funk era. Your nickname is still one of the best I've ever seen. 30 seconds, everybody. And I assume I'm on some kind of delay. Rozier or Sexton to pair with Rondo? I currently have Rozier. What's the biggest top tournament you have won? The biggest single prize I have won in a tournament was one of the 3 times I won the FanDuel Slam. It was good for 40,000. That night I won something like 80,000. So, not much compared to lots of people. There's like 80 people who've won $1 million. So, I am truly pathetic. Lou Williams in cash? No. There's still some risk chance. Not a big one, but some sit chance. And one of the quotes I didn't get to read was from Doc, where he said, I gotta find this. In no way the subs combinations that I'll play tomorrow would I ever do in a real game, but that's what the exhibition series is for. So, yeah. This is only the third of their 5 preseason games for the Clips, the second of their 3 against real teams. They end the preseason against, I think, Maccabi Haifa of the Israeli League. Let's take a look at some ownership, although we will only have the first game, obviously. Let me see if my friends didn't all play tonight. The other thing I always forget to mention is, yeah, you probably should have played more tonight. We're going to see some dead money once we hit 8 o'clock. I'm a little disappointed. Tatum only 21% owned. God gave you a huge, wonderful forehead. Well, give me a nice head of hair, which I would think would give me a substandard forehead. I think my forehead is weak as far as mass and girth. Okay. Let's look at some ownerships. So looking at DraftKings, again, we will only have 7 o'clock games. Hey, interesting. Rozier and Sexton basically both 50%. Nance 44%. Again, smart people out there. That's like a slightly cagey play there. Tatum only 27. That's exciting. Brown only 26. Tatum should be higher than Brown. Tatum is just generally a little bit better than Brown. Has the better matchup in this game too. So it's a little odd for me that they have basically identical ownership. Horford also 26. So Horford, Jalen, and Tatum all roughly identical. Chetty Osman at 25. Smart at 17. I like that. Hood at 10. I like that. Marcus Morris at 7. I like that. Jordan Clarkson at 6. Sam Decker at 4. Ante Zizic at 2.6. Yeah, all right, I can get behind that. Baines at 2.4. I can get behind that. And then guys who aren't playing. David Nwaba at 0.68. Thanks for donating. Kyrie Irving at 0.06. Tristan at 0.04. Gordon Hayward at 0.02. Question is, how many dead lineups will we get from the 8 o'clock game? Damn it, is Tyreek starting? We said yes like 7 times. I don't know why a guy's yelling at 7:31. Montrez and Lance or KCP and Beverly on DK. Certainly Montrez and Lance in cash. Is it bad that the randomness of the lineup builder has given me a few lineups with 4 Celtics and no Cavs? Not necessarily, but that's not ideal. Like, is it bad? It's worse than if it had lineups with, 3 Celtics and a Cav, would generally be a better split. You have at least 3 Celtics in every lineup. I don't hate that. At least 3 in every lineup is, a little more exposure than I'd want. Like, there is a chance, Brad Stevens says the starters will play at least 3 quarters. So they run a pretty deep preseason outfit. So there's a chance that some of this, like, you could see starters getting 23 to 27. Now, I don't think that's likely. I think some of them get up towards 30. But there is some downside in that you get, the preseason finale of last year. You had Horford get close to 30 and Hayward get close to 30. But you had both Tatum and Brown get 23. So, there's a chance you only see something like that in this case. So, but none of them should be, bad per se. God damn it, DK split tomorrow into 2 gamers. You are fucking kidding me. I refuse to believe that. I don't believe it. You have late swap. God, it's like, FanDuel's like, watch, we can fuck up the best sport in the world. DraftKings is like, here, hold my beer. 4 Celtics going off probably means the Cavs are getting waxed. No need to run it back. So, yeah, let me see if I have anything else terribly interesting to say. And if not, I will let, I guess I will let everyone go. What happened? No, DraftKings took there are 4 games tomorrow on DraftKings. There are 4 games tomorrow in the NBA, and DraftKings, in their infinite wisdom, decided to have 2 2-game slates instead of, say, a 4-game slate, because, What are your thoughts on Jaren Jackson Jr. with Memphis? He is a very raw, talented, unrefined player. Ever tossed salad? I've had my salad tossed, but no, I've not. Unless you mean literally like lettuce and cucumbers in the air to create sort of a which that I've done. So I like a nice salad. Yeah. So DraftKings trying to make more money and not understanding several things broke it up. When are you going to talk about the FanDuel bullshit in detail? Yeah, I'm going to record a video. It'll take me like a half hour. It won't be quite as good as the late swap one, because the late swap one was, you know, more interesting because it was people passionately advocating for something that fucked them, and that just makes a good story, where someone's sitting there going, please hit me in the head with a brick, I want it. The FanDuel new scoring system is in a couple ways good and in a couple ways bad, and there's a lot more nuance and subtlety. So it won't be quite as good or popular a video, but yeah. The late swap was good and people still don't understand it. True. When are you going to talk about the draft? Man, the porn bots are just hitting me hard today. Love you, porn bots. They toss salad. If you're looking to get your salad tossed, please stop by my Periscope and speak to some of the bots. They'd be happy to accommodate you. That is it. I have to figure out what I'm going to do for a show tomorrow now, because apparently DraftKings is derf. Let's look in the lobby and see if FanDuel's is up yet. NFL tips for tomorrow? Didn't do... I spent literally the order of 50 hours looking at basketball this week, so I don't think I would have any tips. I hear there's an Atlanta-Pittsburgh game that's going to score some points. That's what I got. Let's see. Looking at... There's late. Is this late on FanDuel? Is that what I'm looking at? There's 2 games slate on FanDuel that still has some space in it. Interesting. I was looking to see, is there anything tomorrow? Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, preseason Maine. I haven't looked at the schedule yet. I'm wondering if FanDuel just issued a couple games. Oh, yeah. FanDuel didn't make 2 2-game slates. FanDuel made 1 2-game slate. Fuck you. They're not even giving you 2 of the games. Be gone. So... yeah, take that. I was about to say, DraftKings is like, see, FanDuel, we can fuck up NBA. FanDuel's like, no, give me that beer back. Yeah. These sites are in a race to the bottom. It's, I'm having some fun with them. It is a difficult job, but they do miss some of the easy shit. So we miss Rockets, Spurs, and Hawks, Thunder. Fuck, I would have wanted Hawks, Thunder. Like, there were all kinds of guys out. Like, that would have been a good game. Instead, we get, like, Jazz Trailblazers. Hello from Africa. What part of Africa? That's strange. I'm almost skeptical, by the way, because very few people from Africa, and I've been there several times, say, hi, I'm from Africa. They usually say, I'm from Namibia, or I'm from Ghana, or I'm from Eritrea. Kenya. I've been to Kenya. I did volunteer work in Egypt, Eritrea, and Kenya, out there in the... on the northeast side of Africa. It's comical how bad these sites are run sometimes. Yeah, it pisses... like, FanDuel today, we won't update salaries. We won't update salaries. Really? You know how little time that takes? For fuck's sake, do something. I don't understand. But welcome from Kenya. Can you see Kilimanjaro from where you are? That would only be like 8% of the country. But it's for like either have an algorithm, or for some reason their algorithm could be tied to the importing of results, which maybe don't trigger for preseason and something to do with StatSync or whatever. That's very possible. Have someone manually change the freaking salaries. It's not that difficult. I know that, having done it myself for like 7 years. Do I have kids? I have 1 child. 1 daughter. Unless you mean baby goats, and then I have none. You're at the coast. That's beautiful. So you're on the... Kenya... So you're on the Indian Ocean, right? You're south of the Red Sea? What possible reason could they have for not having a 4-game slate? Well, they're Mombasa, sure, I've been there. The reason to not have the 4-game slate is, 1, it's in the middle of NFL football and all the money is tied up. So their theory is their afternoon games will conclude at like 7 p.m. Money will pay out and people can dump that money back into basketball. That's part of their reason. And additionally, they don't have late swap or any anti-scratch prohibition yet. So when the games are at like whatever it was, 3, 4, 8, and 10, then there would have been some late swap issues. It's 2:38 a.m. here, but can't seem to sleep. Yeah, I would think so. You're 7 hours ahead of me. Eastern European time, they call it. Your business is blowing. So many jokes I want to say right now. Okay. You're in Mombasa. It's 2:38 in the morning. You can't sleep. And your business is blowing. I know people whose business is blowing, and 2:38 a.m. is the best time to work for them. But I have a feeling we're talking about different things at this point. Yeah, the games are at 3 and 4 and 8 and 9. So if you had on FanDuel just a 4-game slate starting at 3 p.m., 2 of the 4 games would start 5 and 6 hours later. That would be a little bit of suck. You project Sexton or Brown for more fantasy points? I think I ended up with Sexton a hair more, but look, mister. Sex time. I mean, Sexton. I have Brown higher by 2.5. What was your previous job of adjusting salaries? It's my current job, actually. I worked at Fantasy Feud, which is a DFS site, for 5 years, and manually adjusted every football and basketball slate for 4 of them. And then I currently work at gdfsi.com, which is Global Daily Fantasy Sports. Uber bringing $100 a week plus $120 online job. That's a fine job. And again, the cost of living, as I recall, in Kenya is not high. Have I looked at first slate pricing? DK is very soft. Curry 8.6, KD 9, Westbrook like high at 10K. Yeah, they're usually conservative there. GDFSI is a DFS site? Yes, but it's international and not accessible from the United States. Favorite Clippers players tonight? Tobias Harris is probably the one I like the most. Then probably Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in tournaments. Then probably Gallinari, Beverly, or I'm sorry, then actually Montrezl probably third, then Gallinari and so on. Good questions though. Yeah, fade tomorrow GPPs, lol, more like poo GPPs. Let me see how the prizes are split. You know, maybe we'll just stay on until 8. It's only 17 more minutes. You guys want to hang out? I'm really curious what the overlay is going to be, or what the ownership is going to be on some of these guys. Let's see. NBA tonight, Sunday early. Largest tournament is not a lot. $1,000. No joke. The early slate on... maybe they're going to add some more because there aren't really any GPPs tomorrow for any time. Wow, this is some stank. Yeah, they are not going to do it. They for a couple of years, they ran the same thing every day of the week, and it was glorious because they'd run it during NFL Sundays, and you're like, wow, they apparently don't notice that all their tournaments fill a half hour early 6 days a week, and 1 day a week they fill 60%. Maybe they'll offer showdown slates for the 2 night games. I might take a day off, and I am not given to taking day offs. I have done a show every day of this preseason. But if the largest, you know, there's a 20 grand on FanDuel at least. Currently, unless I'm going to refresh or something, maybe they're populating the tournaments on DK, but featured PM sort by prizes. Yep. I assume something else will be created, but the 4K must fill is not actually a guaranteed tournament, so the largest tournament they have in the lobby right now for tomorrow on DK is a $1 entry, $1,500 tournament. Whew. No. FanDuel is at $20K. FanDuel's not fucking around. $4 entry, $20K. That's worth taking some shots at. Sabonis and Cock in the same lineup makes sense, or is that pretty negatively correlated? It's slightly negatively correlated. I mean, everything has some positive and negative correlation. So having, the simplest example is having, if you have the Cock in one hand and Sabonis in the other, you have the positive correlation of if it goes to quintuple overtime. That's a simple example. But there is more negative correlation because of the fact that their minutes are probably going to be combined to 48. There's a real chance those two guys just play the 48 center minutes. Take a day off, man, and it'll give us a day off too. Yeah, but I think that they just gave me finally my contract at Osmo.com, and I actually get paid by the day. Defined as a day in which I do a show and whatever. So, like, in theory, I wouldn't get paid, and I got to get my money. Sorry, I just always wanted to say that. Any takes on Sumner versus Holiday straight up? I would take Sumner. NFL Sunday, where the money at? Yes. If you're looking to make a pile of money, preseason NBA Sunday is going to be a little less lucrative, or literally less valid. Hey, why can't I find a play on FanDuel? I don't know what that means. Nance, Sexton, and Osman? Yeah, I'm fine with that. No NBA. No NBA. Oh, I know it. You gotta click the preseason tab under game styles. I think that's what we're looking for. 10 days? Yep, 10 days. So the Celtics get 10 days off. This is their preseason finale tonight. They're done. They actually get 9 days off because they play on the 16th. They're one of the 4 teams. Do I ever do NFL shows on Sunday mornings? This week is tough. That is word for word what you said several minutes ago. That is peculiar. That is bot-like. No, it's fine. It's just a little odd. I like Nance. Did someone say they have 3? I could never have 3 Cavs with no Nance. Big fan of Larry. Really hoping Larry's, like, you know, low owned. Also should keep in, you know, we're just going to stay here till 8. 13 more minutes? I can do 13 more minutes. I can power up. I'm hardcore. You're more knowledgeable than any other people who do chats and streams. That's very kind of you. That does not necessarily proceed thereupon that I am better at DFS or better at instructing or discussing DFS. Even if I were to accept your statement that I'm more knowledgeable, I might know more random shit. That is possible. You missed the Taco Bell drive-thrus, so I'll get back to it at some point. But let's see. Memphis Grizzlies starting lineup. JaMychal Green at center. Mack, Temple, Selden, Parsons. Okay, so they're actually sitting Gasol and Conley. That makes some of these guys a little more appealing. I would probably revise my rankings to have Selden at number 1. I think Selden is worth a tournament look. I think a Selden pivot on DraftKings has some merit. Chandler Parsons is going to play 15 minutes. JaMychal Green, like, I'm going through all the centers. Like, he needs to basically, just on raw points, outscore Horford and Nance and O'Quinn and Harrell and Zubac and Gortat. And he's JaMychal Green. Like, I can see the Green play, but Selden is the big takeaway there for me. He actually has... He could take 18 shots in this game, make 12 of them, and score 44 fantasy points. Like, that is actually a thing that could occur that wouldn't shock me. Pretty unlikely, you know, JaMychal Green randomly busts out, you know, a 45-pointer, but also possible. So, like, those are the 2 guys. They're getting the start. We'll presume they get a lot of minutes, but that's some ugly shit. Omri fucking Caspi? No, fuck no. Of all people, they start Parsons again. I'm not surprised. Parsons has actually looked better this preseason, and if he wasn't hurt, it's fine. Marshawn Brooks, yeah, you can still do that. All the Grizzlies got a little better because they ran 2 of the starters, really. Garrett Temple's kind of a starter, so maybe 2.5, we'll call it. But there's no Gasol, no Conley. That opens up a ton of usage. So still not over the moon, but more excited about the Grizzlies than I was before. I mean, they played, I believe, 19 guys last game. They are now sitting Conley, Gasol. I'm presuming they're not going to come in off the bench. Conley, Gasol. Maybe Dylan Brooks is sitting. I doubt it. So they're still going to play 16 dudes. I wouldn't go crazy. How sure Los Angeles Lakers? I'm sure the Lakers are from Los Angeles, if that's what you're asking. I mean, positive. Yeah, but he's the one person you'd rest on a back-to-back. Yes, it's a little strange, but he's, you know, there's... If he can't play 15 minutes on back-to-back nights, like... But I hear what you're saying, yes. It would seem like resting Chandler Parsons makes some sense. You would only play Marshawn if he was starting? Yeah. Lakers finished top 4 seed? I think that's impossible. What is FastEddieFear name? It is a nom de plume given to me by a guy who I played on the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour with, based on my gaming prowess, more or less, and my ability to wager on things. That's where the name came from, I think. It is, I believe itself, a derivation of Fast Eddie Felson, who is the character played by Paul Newman in the films The Hustler and The Color of Money. Kyle Anderson is doubtful. Oh, strange in the preseason that you would go from questionable to doubtful. I believe he was questionable earlier today, but he was not going to play. I did not project him. Who is the player from the Memphis play now? Green? Yeah, Slow-Mo is not going to play. We knew that. JaMychal Green. Yeah, it's JaMychal Green or Wayne Selden. I mean, again, it's a raw point stay. So there is a real chance, like a 30% chance, no one on the entire Memphis team gets 30 fantasy points. And you need, 35 on a day like today to get there. Yeah, was he doubtful today? I thought I saw he was QQ at some point, but he wasn't going to play. Heel, you don't tend to just suddenly be like, hey, my heel feels better one before just the nature of that injury itself. All right, 9 minutes. What? No, what? Pig fuck. I mean, whoops. There goes my job at ESPN. Check the chat channels. I'm coming over to you, Twitch and YouTube. Gasol is playing. He's in the confirmed lineup. There's apparent disagreement on the YouTube/Twitch channel. No Gasol. Wow. Gasol is playing. He's in the confirmed lineup. They definitely don't mean Powell. Had to bounce for a bit, but why is Horford so low owned? People like shiny new toys. Al Horford is not sexy. Most people don't have news that they're supposed to play a lot. Most people don't know that in last year's last preseason game, he played like 30 minutes when the other starters played like 23, 27. Everyone wants to play Sabonis. Sabonis is going to be... I just got Gasol in. Okay, I got 2 people telling me Marc Gasol is in. I'm going to look for myself. I can't trust you bastards. I don't have a problem with McGee in tournaments. There's an 8 p.m. slate. Sorry, I wish I was looking at that. I gotta look at news. Somebody is lying. Apparently 2 people are lying if they're both saying. Alright, hold on. Let me go to my Grizzlies contacts list. Marc Gasol going through his pregame routine. I'm looking at video of him warming up, which does seem odd if he's not going to play. Hashtag analysis. It's certainly not confirmed he's going to play, and we have what I believe is a confirmed starters list. But let me make sure that that is well sourced. I think someone just used Roto Grinders as a source. Yes, confirmed that Gasol is not starting at least. Kyle Anderson out. Yeah, we knew that. Yeah, I have 2 sources I trust saying that it's going to be Selden, Parsons, Green, Temple, and Max starting. RG is a joke. RG isn't a joke at all. They're just not the smartest place to... they are an aggregator. They themselves are not frequently directly researching news. So saying, look, I found this other fantasy site that said Marc Gasol is starting is nearly pointless. Like, that's... that happens sometimes, and you end up with the whole industry. One guy gets one thing wrong because he listens to the wrong whatever. Or like, there are literally days in this industry which are really frustrating for me where news comes where someone reads an old tweet, and by an old tweet I mean a month or sometimes a year, that says this guy is starting, and retweets it as a joke, and some tout like me who's either stupid or just busy and running around doing 100 things sees it and goes, oh shit, and then doesn't want to, retweet. They want to take the credit originally, so they just type out Marc Gasol confirmed starting by this beat reporter, and 16 other people report it, and all of a sudden 38 touts sitting there saying, no, Marc Gasol is starting, even though no one with any first-hand knowledge. It's the difference between direct and indirect attribution. But do the guys who win these big GPP tournaments all the time use optimizers or what? How is there something? Most of them use projections. Optimizer is not a very sexy tool. Optimizers like make one lineup. But yes, frequently they will use database projections. I don't think that's enough in most sports. I think guys who are just... There are 100 guys in the world who are trying to be just pro DFS guys and just spreadsheet their way through this shit, and most of them are still losing. And in the long run, I think almost all of them, literally the number of guys who I think can, without knowing the sports better or having some sort of process advantage or some other advantage, guys who I think can just, I used my Excel spreadsheet and I won dollars, who could like be profitable forever, is like 7 people, 12 people. There's like hundreds who are trying to do it, and you know, which is why most of them are touting. This is why most of them do this. You know, I never wagered more than, at my very highest, I was putting up something close to about $8,000 a night. But there's guys who are putting up 50, 75, 100 grand a night and are still doing this somewhere. And it's not because it's going that well. Like, when you're playing that much money, the only reason that you're still doing this is because you need some sort of base income, because you cannot guarantee you're going to get it. Or because you really enjoy it. But, you know, it's hard. Fight. We need BBM to do preseason news. BBM. Well, Basketball Monster. Sure. I don't want them to do preseason news. It would... Any one place that actually did a halfway decent job of preseason news would crush our advantage pretty significantly. So, no. I really hope they don't. Hold up. You talk NBA? Hold up. Yes, I do. Professionally. I got nothing. Checking the Twitter. NBA is your best sport to play. Jeez, if I had to play a professional sport, oh, jeez Christ, I'd get pretty well crushed at all of them. But if you mean to talk about, yes. You would beat Osimo head-to-head easy. I would be shocked if either Osimo or I had a 55-45 advantage against each other. Do you think Sexton takes over the starter spot on the Cavs this season? I do, because I think they missed the playoffs, and I think somewhere in February they, you know, tell... Any Jerome Robinson tonight? I wish I had some more news about the Clippers. I'd have to be pretty deep at this point. What's my take on Boogie to the Warriors? It's good for Boogie. It's good for the Warriors. 3 minutes until these ownerships. Yeah, we hung in there. 65 notifications. All right, we'll look at the Twitter later. Gonna get these ownerships. They're gonna be delicious. 3 minutes. Somebody say something. I'm getting bored.
Rozier hit a tough shot. Baines and JR get hooked up.
Whoa!
And now Marcus Smart.
The Cavs and the Celtics are scrapping. Anybody gonna get ejected here? Look at J.R. Smith laughing his ass off. He's like, I'm gonna get out of here quick. Get me some Henny.
Marcus Smart being tackled by 2 teammates.
Wow, I gotta go back and see what the hell's going on there. There's a video of it. There's a fight. Cat fight between. I love what Pop said about NBA fights. He's like, that's the fakest crap in the world. That is the most mamby-pamby slap fight bullshit. And it is hilarious because these are giant professional athletes in the prime of their life. Like, no, you stop it. Come on, let's stop it now. Like, 20 years ago, you had giant dudes throwing punches. Like, Shaq goddamn near killed Charles Much. Would have killed his ass. Sadly, just missed him. I wonder if Michael Jordan or LeBron James is the better kisser. That's the strangest question I've heard today. When you won $80K, what's the first thing you bought? That's a good question. I took my family on a trip. And bought my wife basically a new car. Smart ejected. J.R. Smith about to get suspended for a Supreme tattoo. Now he'll get fined. They won't suspend him. I would not expect. Oh, we're almost up to time. It's time. It's Vader time. No, that's not it. It's ownership time. Smart and JR throwing hands. That's exciting. So, yeah, you know, Smart was a good play, so some people just got randomly fucked by that. I wonder what Smart's ownership was. 2 of the Memphis, Indiana ownerships. Okay, I'm on it. I'm on it like white on rice. Like stink on shit. Came on first out of 1100 with the scowl play. Thanks. Scout wasn't that good. Scout was fine. 3,500. He gave you like 18 on FanDuel and 22 on DraftKings for 4,600 or something. Made a lot of sense to me. He got really unlucky and they fucked his scoring, by the way. I don't want to get into it, but he should have gotten many more fantasy points than he did, and they really screwed up his scoring several times. And he shot like shit. Like, I think it was a great play that could have worked out a lot better. But if you came in first out of 1,100 people, I salute you, sir. Let's reload and get some ownerships. Here we go. Pop-a-dum-bum-bum. Paul, could I get some ownership music? Close that. Close that. You can't have 2 copies of the same file open. Okay. Look at that. Look at that. Here we go. And lobster. Domantas Sabonis, 70%. Yep, that's about right. Then from this game, Tyreek, 47. I was guessing like 35, if I'm being honest. It's pretty high. TJ Leaf, 35. I want fucking none. I don't care what happens. Fuck you right in your TJ Leaf blower. I want nothing to do with it. Celtic, Cav, Celtic. Marcus Smart was 17% owned, by the way, so congratulations. They paid the rake. Although I kind of like Marcus Smart in tournaments. I'd have wanted about 17%, so I imagine I would have been about proportional. I imagine we are too. The cock is only 12%. Marc Gasol, 10.71%. Congratulations, you just played yourself. Marshawn Brooks, 11. Yeah, coming off one big game. I mean, that's really Alonzo Trieri. But it happened. Kojo, only 9%. Oh, I don't mind Kojo at all at 9%, to be honest with you. That's like the TJ Leaf thing. But TJ Leaf is 35% now. Last time it was 7%. Big fan. TJ Leaf, 35%. Jermichael Green, 9.4. I really like that. That's pretty good. Oladipo, 8%. That's what I was talking about. Conley, 6%. Yeah, so amortizing this out, Collison, 1%. Yeah, you know. So anyhow, I didn't do my spiel about how everyone should play more, but you should have played more because there's definitely negative rake here. Okobo had a block last night and then they took it away for no reason. Horford, turn it on a little bit. Horford's got 7.5 in 9 minutes. Play better. Be better, Al. Be a better Al. You got a 1.5 less than Larry Nance, who we were talking about. Rozier, 8.5 so far. Strong. Strong to quite strong. Anyhow, thanks everyone for hanging out for ownership game. Sexton doing very well so far. Got a dozen so far for Sex time, which is, you know, way to go Team Sex, as they say. But the night is young. Some FanDuel ownerships. Reek, 66%. Nance, 26%. Sabonis, 71% on FanDuel in this tournament I'm looking at. Apparently, I don't know what the main event was on FanDuel, but this account didn't get anyone into it. So, yeah, let's see. What are some other guys here? Hood, 17%. Tried to warn you. He's got 1.4 fantasy points in 10 minutes. That's good, right? Chetty is 4.6% owned. I mean, there was no salary cap, so that changes it a bit. But I'd be pretty interested at 4.6 fucking percent. TJ Leaf is 50% owned on FanDuel. Like, every time I want to say this sport is too hard, this game is too hard, you guys can't make money anymore, the rake is just too high. Fucking TJ, like, it's not like it requires a massive amount of research to realize that he had one game. You could either have watched the game. You know how many good plays TJ Leaf made? 0. There was not one time I was like, wow, nice play. He did 0 things that I could not do at 41 years of age and approximately, 3 inches shorter than TJ Leaf. But, so you could have watched the game or Googled any statistics involving TJ Leaf or, fucking 50% owned. And in fairness, I guess, you know what? I'm a little too harsh because you had to play 2 power forwards. But, like, Horford is... There's no salary cap. Horford is 59%. TJ Leaf is 50%. I know there's no one else there for the team, but even in that environment, I really can't imagine he puts up more than... Klay Thompson had a clear steal last night, and they gave it to Ulyss. Yeah. There was literally one of the times... Scalabus here got shorted at least a rebound and a steal. And I think it may have been 2 steals, but I'm not certain. But there was literally one time where Scal had the ball. Guy on Golden State comes in, takes the ball, dribbles 3 or 4 times, goes about 20 feet, pauses, Scal comes up behind him, rips the ball back. No statistic. I have no idea. I was just sitting here dumbfounded. They have to fix that. I'm like, they have to fix that. Come on. No. Every beat writer and Suns reporter is tweeting about Okobo's block, yet it's not in the scoring. Yeah, I saw it. He blocked Nurkic, right? Was it worth it? Yusuf Nurkic? Did he put the thing down? Flip it? Anyway. Shout out to Jay Walker for... I don't know if he invented that, but is it worth it? Yusuf Nurkic is a pretty outstanding nickname. I just need Rondo to get more than Sexton, and then everyone wins on FanDuel. All right, there it is. It is 8:05 at night. I'm going to do some work. It was Nurkic, yeah, that's what I thought. So, last check for questions, and then I'm heading out for the evening. Have something to eat. Didn't get Selden on DK, shaking my head. Yeah, Selden would have been my favorite. Conley, 55% on the late slate. I gotta play some of these late slates. People are stupid. The other night, Blake was out like 40 minutes before the late slate started, and he was 50% owned. Like, it's not hard to make money when there's negative 61% rake or whatever. So when it's 30% smart, it's a rough beat. Yeah, my pleasure as always. Yesterday was very good. We had a couple people win. I had another guy, I didn't even know about this fellow who apparently won 1,100 person contest. And yesterday was very good. So we're rounding into shape. First week was just not as good as I expected, which it's interesting. I had a conversation with someone yesterday, very interesting colloquy about why that might be. And there's lots of, different potential reasons. One was last year was just much more predictable, and there was just more randomness this year than either of the last 2 years, which feels right, but that's a very emotional thing to say, and I don't think my memory of events from a year and 2 years ago is that solid. So I wouldn't stake my reputation on that. Not that I have much of a reputation. I could be shit. I think it was definitely the favorite part of the conversation. I'm like, you know what, I could just be shit. I don't feel like I'm shit. Like, I look at what goes wrong, and I feel like I read the situation right. But I could be shit. And some combination of I could be shit, or I could have been lucky last year and the year before. Certainly possible. Everyone, obviously, the crowd could be smarter. The conversation started with the guy's first theory was, I think NBA is tougher this year because more people are watching your show, was what he started with. And whether or not I'm good, that's sort of the case, because there's obviously a correlation between how owned your guys are and how profitable you are. So if I went from talking to 9% of the entries to 18% of the entries, pulling those numbers completely out of my ass, yeah, that's bad. Like, there's a point at which my advice ceases to become valuable, and it's somewhere around, 40% would be like, I can't, at that point, it would still become valuable, but not to play it itself, but to know what it is so that you can react to what I'm saying, which is really weird. Like, I've gone full Inception on the thing, where I'm like, people are playing this guy, so you should play this guy, but then it's like, well, Eddie said play that guy, so I'm gonna play this guy, like, anyway, that's fun stuff. Varies by the stat keepers. Yeah, I have heard. I do a lot of soccer pricing again for the day job. It's an international company with offices in Malta and Canada and whatever the hell. But damn it, Pornbot, you shut up. You're drunk. Go home. Only reliable DFS scoring is golf. Yeah, no, that would be a long conversation, but I have opinions on a lot of the sports. Smart was overpriced on DK, in my opinion. There was, yeah, but the thing is, overpriced became less relevant when the cap disappeared, or largely disappeared, was somewhat irrigated and reduced. I literally lose last night because scorekeepers don't know what blocks and steals are. Yeah, that's a good one. I've had some bad beats. I never went to a live final because I never played more. I never is wrong. I rarely played more than one lineup. I never, for playing every day for basically 4 years and a little bit, played more than one lineup unless I had won multiple tickets. That was the singular exception. And one of those times I put like 11 lineups into a $20 qualifier on FanDuel and finished second in the queue on the kneel downs. I was winning by 0.2 points with a minute left to go. Kneel down, kneel down, kneel down. Lost by 1/10 of a point. But I got $1,100 for second in the qualifier as opposed to the $50,000 seat. Never went to a live final. Never really tried to. It's a really, really ginormous waste of money. You could even argue it's less of a waste of money for me than many of the people watching because of the fact I can brag on it. It's good for your career. And it can take some skill to make a live final. It's like the 4th or 5th most important thing, but being smart or being good at DFS is up there. It's largely an issue of how much size your bankroll, how much volume are you playing, did you get incredibly lucky, and somewhere 4th or 5th on the list is, do you know anything about DFS? Because it increases your chances, but if you just build your 150, like, if you take the best player in the world and he plays 130 lineups in a qualifier every week, and you take someone who is completely dog shit average, and we'll just assume he doesn't play players who don't play, and he plays 150 lineups, I'll take that 150 guy every time. Winning a 267,000 person tournament is not a testament to a lot. That doesn't mean that people who haven't won aren't great. There are lots of people who've won those things who are outstanding. There's also some people who are shit. Alright, so I'll stop talking now, but I appreciate everyone's listening to me rant on various things. Again, I'll try to do that FanDuel video at some point. I will probably do projections in a show tomorrow afternoon/evening for Utah and Portland, those old chestnuts. And yeah, with that said, it's my pleasure as always. Bon chance, God bless, Godspeed.